Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives. I was looking back at a video I did approximately a year ago, give or take a week or two, just kind of a recap of the year so far. So I thought I'd do the same thing this year, basically from January to June, what I picked up for new releases, what I have on pre-order, which I think I have 6 or 7 already on pre-order. September is looking like a really good month. And what I've missed. You know what? Please feel free to throw it down in the comments. I've said it a million times. We can't listen to everything, and we definitely can't buy everything. But I still learn from recommendations, stuff that I've missed, like I said, and just watching other videos and other channels, people talking about albums that I may not have known of, which is pretty much what we're here for anyways, and sharing our love for metal and hard rock. So yeah, we'll go over all of that. I really thought it was going to be a busier year than it started out to be. I'm just kind of recap from January to June of what I picked up first 6 months. The only thing I picked up in July so far is this new live metal church, which is top notch. I did a review on it. Check that out if you'd like. But yeah, we're going to start off in chronological order of just bands that I listen to. And stuff that, you know, some of my favorite bands actually for sure. I've really kind of dialed it back on not trying to pick up everything. Not saying I won't go back and pick up something. I made a small list of stuff from 2024 that I have not picked up, but haven't really shut the door on either. So let's start off with the first release of the year, which started off with a bang, one of my favorite all-time traditional metal bands. And that is Saxon, 24th studio album, Hellfire and Damnation, released January 19th on, what is it again? Silver Linings Music. Yes, 24th studio album, still going and still putting out just superb material. This is, I mean, this is top notch. This is even better than, in my eyes, better than Carpe Diem. Probably even slightly better than Thunderbolt, even though that was pretty awesome too, but still making music this late in their career. Yes, first album to not feature Paul Quinn as a full-time member. He just got a couple solos on here, but there's Brian Tatler. A perfect replacement. You couldn't even have got a better guy than Brian. Some highlights on this album for sure. The title track, awesome. A couple of my favorites are There's Something in Roswell. Sure, the lyrics, whatever. Who gives a shit? Super catchy song. Also, Witches of Salem. That one's kind of a groovier song. It's in a bit of a different time change, so it really gets you doing the old head bob for sure. But there is my first brand new release of 2024 for me, Saxon. Second, so yeah, and the year started off really strong. Here is March. This one came out on March 1st. We had to wait 19 years for this album. Bruce Dickinson, The Mandrake Project. Touring right now. I just actually picked up a CD single for my favorite track on here, which is Resurrection Men. I'll show you that in my next update. But yeah, so 19 years passed since Tyranny of Souls, Bruce Dickinson's 7th studio album. Love this cover. I mean, the cover, I love how it is. This is embossed. It's very cool. But obviously this cover has a lot to do with the partial concept that this album is, but really solid album. I went back to this quite a few times this year so far. So that was my second pickup. Third was the big one that I've been waiting for, well, 6 years. And I'm going to say there's a few album of the year contenders here that I'm going to show. I've already shown one. This would be definitely another one. You know what I'm going to hold up. But this is Judas Priest, Invincible Shield, released March 6th, I believe. 19th studio album. Hey, I love the artwork. I know it's wasn't totally well received with some people, but man, that's cool to me. The old shield, the old metal shield, raise your fist and to metal. And yeah, just an awesome album. from that intro to Panic Attack, giving you that, I've said it before, kind of giving you that false sense of, what is going on here? Where are they going with this? This is like, got a little bit of turbo sound in there, a little bit of ram it down type, and then boom, right into Panic Attack, which is one of my favorite tracks on the album. Gates of Hell, another one of my standouts for sure. There's actually so many that the first 3 singles, Crown of Horns, Trial by Fire, all awesome. A little weaker on the last 3 tracks. I can see why they are the last 3 tracks, but they're not shit, but I do see why they're kind of at the bottom. But this is just a 88.8% just masterpiece. Love this album. This is Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. And that one is still kind of on constant rotation and has been since I've got it. Now this next one, kind of my surprise of the year. We only had to wait 34 years for this album. A thrash band that only has 3 albums. Love this artwork too, but here's the 3rd album released from Atrophy, March 15th. So yeah, March was a good month for sure. But yeah, great artwork on this. Only one original member, and that is the vocalist. And that kind of, I thought, oh, is this going to be any good? But I mean, it's happened before. I mean, look at Possessed's last album. Just fantastic. And we had to wait, like 33 years for that? I wouldn't say this one is quite in that league, but it is, like I said at the beginning, it's a surprise for me of how good it is. And definitely a thrash album that I still listen to quite often. But, I love their first albums. I mean, 34 years. So we had, I think their first 2 albums were 88 and 90, something like that. But if you've kind of passed this one by just because of the length of time that they've been out of action, and but the members that I think his name's Brian, that Brian brought in, the players are really top notch on here. So yeah, released on Massacre Records on March 15th. Check out the new Atrophy. Next up, March 29th, a German metal band that I've sunk a lot of time, money into over the past, 4 years or so probably, and that is German's own Rage. So I really wouldn't call these, well, they're in kind of that league of power metal where they're in with, when you're thinking of Halloween, Gravedigger, who else? Gamma Ray, but for the most part not as power metal-y, I guess. I don't know, it's not even a word, but great album. This is I think 25th or 26th studio album. This is a double album where, so the title is called After Lifelines, and it's broken out into 2 albums. Album number 1 is called Afterlife, and then album number 2 is called Lifelines. So then you got After Lifelines, one continuous big word. So album number 1 is more traditional, straight up metal, where album number 2 is kind of throwing a little more symphonics, and they've done that they've literally dedicated certain albums in their discography to that type of thing where they played with an orchestra. It's not quite to that level on here, but there's a few extras on that second disc for sure that you can hear. Great package. Yeah, the band that PV has here, these guys are great. Love this artwork too. So yeah, if you've slept on the last few Rage albums, or if you're into bands like Halloween and Primal Fear, things like that, I know those are all German bands, but definitely check out this band if you haven't. Highly recommend Rage. So let's get a quick drink. Next up is one I always wait for this or look forward to this band. One of my favorite guitar players of all time, and that is Wolf Hoffman. And yes, he's the only guy left. I get it, but I still have, UDO albums to look forward to. So I always look at it as the best of both worlds. So here is Accept, Humanoid. This one was released in April. The only album that I picked up that was released in April. Humanoid. Love the cover. I love the kind of the shout out to the metal heart. The glass is metal heart shaped, and of course on this cyborg humanoid figure is a metal heart. So that's pretty cool. And it's a really overall a decent album. I wouldn't rate it as one of their best of the what I call the new era with Mark Tonello on vocals. My favorite still there would still be Blood of the Nations and Blind Rage. Those are the top-notch ones. But this one, did I put it higher than Too Mean to Die? I can't quite remember, but it's kind of in that ballpark. Some highlights of this album. Frankenstein is one of my favorites of the album. That one has co-written by Yuva Lulis, who's in as the second guitar player in Accept. Great riff on that. First track, The Reckoning, is awesome. Then there's a little bit of variety on here. There's a slower song called Ravages of Time. Kind of a AC/DC rocker called Straight Up Jack. But a couple other of my favorites are No One Gets Out Alive and, where is it? Mind Games. But yeah, the 17th studio album from Accept. Still putting out great albums, and it always works for me. It's kind of alternate. An Accept album one year, a UDO album the next year type of thing. So still get my Udo Dirkschneider fill. All right, and then the only live album that I picked up in the first half of 2024 was Exodus, British Disaster, The Battle of '89, live at the Astoria. Now this is a old recording that's been kind of remastered or whatever by who is this? Chris Zeus Harris, I think. Yeah, I think Zeus did this one. I could check on the back. Yeah, it is. So this is on the Fabulous Disaster tour. So this just covers songs from the first 3 albums, which is kind of the highlight for me for Exodus. I mean, I do love a lot of their stuff, but Bonded by Blood, Pleasures of the Flesh, and then Fabulous Disaster, all covered on this album. This is a great recording. The remastering sounds awesome. There's lots of banter in between the tracks, which I do love. And the other cool part about this is it's all one show. It's not one of those live albums where there's a song in this city, a song in that city. So I guess what I'm saying, it flows. It really flows as a live album, being all in one place. But yeah, there's I know some of us aren't massive on live albums, but something like this or this newest Metal Church, no problem with that. I just kind of sometimes look at it as like a best of type of thing, which for sure, if you're the best of the first three albums, you can't go wrong with that. And then wrapping up what I've picked up, the 20th studio album from I live here in Canada. I'm sure a lot of you already know that. And Anvil has been a band that I've listened to since Metal on Metal came out. I have not always picked up every one of their releases. I've since do have all of their albums, including this new 20th studio album. They're just, honestly, I put them in the category of bands like Raven. They don't do anything different. I don't expect them to do anything different. Actually, I don't give a shit if they do anything different. I just like them because I like them. They're just a fun band to listen to. I've said before, they're not going to give you album of the year. They have some repetitive, rhymey lyrics. They have some repetitive riffs, things like that. But I still enjoy them, and I'm still going to pick up everything from them. So here's their 20th studio album. I think this is the third released in a row on AFM Records. And yeah, 20 albums later, still plugging away, still touring. I'll review this album a little bit more in my next update. I've seen some not so nice reviews, but I mean, hey man, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. That's what I think. But anyways, this one came out on June 28th. It's called One and Only from Anvil. And yeah, I enjoy it. Let me know if you're still, if you are an Anvil fan, and if you're not, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, other stuff that I have on pre-order, or stuff that I do have on pre-order. The first one is a band that I only have a few albums from, and I'm going to be honest with you, I do struggle with the vocals. I find the vocals don't quite match the intensity of the music sometimes, but I'm not going to give up. And the band I'm talking about is Hammerfall. Avenge the Fallen comes out August 9th. I have pre-ordered that on CD. Next up, now this, actually, the second single of this just got released on Friday, called I'm Gonna Ride. And the band I'm talking about is called The Dead Daisies. This is the last album I own from them, and that is Burn It Down from 2018. Because this is the last album to feature John Corabi on vocals, which I love John Corabi. I think he's fantastic. I did not pick up the two albums that had Glenn Hughes on vocals and bass. Not because they're not good. I did listen to them both. Will I pick them up? I just don't know. I'm just more of a Corabi fan, and was glad to hear that he was coming back to the band. So on September 6th, they're going to release their newest album called Light 'Em Up, and I think it's on SPV Steamhammer. I think that's the label. Pre-orders are up, and yeah, check out like Light 'Em Up. The first single came out way back in May, and then all these months later, which honestly, I still haven't gotten any better. I don't have any willpower to not listen to a track. Even like Panic Attack, which came out, like 5 months before Invincible Shield came out. Like I said, I have no willpower with that, so I'm probably not going to get any better. But yeah, so pre-orders are up for The Dead Daisies. I've also pre-ordered the new Striper, When We Were Kings. That one's coming out September 13th. That's another band that I do struggle a little bit, again, with the vocals. But overall, I mean, there's some really good music, especially over the past, probably now going on 6 albums. I really like what Striper's doing. I'm not much into their older stuff. I did have To Hell with the Devil on cassette way back in the day, but I really kind of prefer their newer stuff. So that one's called When We Were Kings. So that one's coming out on Frontiers. Another band that another guy that I love is Herman Frank. Herman Frank is kind of, of course, Accept guitar player, involved in, other projects. And I think, when did this one come out? 2021. They came out with, or Victory came out with Gods of Tomorrow, where's Herman? Here's the whole band, Herman Frank in the middle. So, hadn't had an album in quite a few years, 2021. So they are coming out with a new one, also on September 13th, called Circle of Life, with, what's his name? Johnny Puntello on vocals. He's awesome. He's very, I compare him to a guy like Ronnie Romero, just a journeyman blue collar guy who can just step in, deliver great vocals. I really enjoyed this. And by the way, this is not a metal album. This is definitely a hard rock album, which there's 2 singles out for Circle of Life already. I think the second one's called American Girl. Both really good. Check out Victory, featuring Herman Frank. And next up is what I call an auto pre-order. These are non-thinking. When I see an album come out from this band, it's buy now, and that is Flotsam and Jetsam. So their follow-up to this album, Blood in the Water, which came out in 2021, so 3 years later. Flotzilla on the cover. Their new album coming out is called I Am the Weapon. There is two tracks. I think the third single is getting released soon. Everything is just right on par with this. I mean, Ken Mary on drums, Eric A.K. still sounding like Eric, and he's on a whole other level. As far as like Flots, I've followed since day one, since Doomsday for the Deceiver, and Eric has always The vocals shine all the time. Just love it. Love him. Love the band. Michael Gilbert on guitar. But so their new album is coming out on AFM Records, also on September 13th. So like I said before, September is shaping up to be an awesome month. That one is on pre-order for sure. I even ordered a t-shirt to go with it. I thought, you know what, I might as well. And finally, the other one I got on pre-order that I just pre-ordered probably 10 days ago is the new Jerry Cantrell called I Want Blood. The first single for that is called Vilified. Go check it out. It's just awesome song. You know Jerry from Alice in Chains. So this one's coming out October 18th on his own label. And if you've not listened to his album from 2021 called Brighton, that album is, I don't know why I didn't originally pick it up, but I have since have a copy coming. I've listened to that probably 10 times in the last 10 days. I just think it's fantastic. He hadn't had a solo album since, I forget what year, early 2000. So there's a huge gap. I still like even the new, the reincarnation of Alice in Chains with William Duvall. I think they're fantastic too. But all right, finally wrap it up with some stuff that I have not picked up that is released. Let me know if you have these ones, or I think there's one, actually one's not released yet for sure. And then finally we can speculate about what we hope is still coming and what news that I could tell you about. The one I did not pick up, which I just didn't really like the whole setup of it, and that's Category 7. Now, if you watch me, you know I'm a huge John Bush fan, so you'd think, man, that should be an automatic buy, but you know what? Sometimes these super groups, I don't know. We'll see. I still may pick it up, but I wasn't really totally blown away with what I heard. Another one that a lot of people are talking about is Deep Purple. It's called Equals One. I don't even know what album that would be of them. I'll be honest, I'm not the hugest Deep Purple fan in the world, but I probably should give that a listen. I mean, for me, nothing's going to beat Perfect Strangers. I absolutely love that album. That was kind of the big one in, 1984. Love that album. Another one, a newer band, and sometimes when I say newer, I mean 2000 till when now. Portrait, called The Host. I believe that's a concept album. That one's out on Metal Blade Records. Here's the one that is not out yet, but there's a couple singles, and that is Bewitcher, and the album is called Spell Shock. I think that one's coming out very soon. Another one I just saw a pre-order for when I was searching the Metal Blade site is Satan, called Songs in Crimson. I don't know if there's actually a track released yet. So that one's a little bit on my radar. I'm not the hugest Satan fan, but they're all right. They definitely have an older sound, which I do appreciate that. One I did not pick up was from the Canadian band called Traveler, their third album called Prequel to Madness. I do have their first two albums. They kind of go down the road of new wave of traditional heavy metal, which I don't dislike. I do like their first two albums. I'm not really sure if why I haven't picked it up yet, but let me know in the comments if you've heard that album and am I missing out. And of course, we already touched on King Diamond. That is not happening this year, but I will be happy to go see King Diamond live in November. Hopefully they play a couple of new tracks. I'm hoping they will. Testament news, it looks like the old 4-year album cycle is going to be over this year. This is not going to see the light of day till, I would say, by March 2025. Alex Skolnick was talking, I think it was on Blabbermouth, about, they're still wrapping things up. They still got lots to do. They're on tour. I'm actually going to see them and Creator and Possessed in September. So a lot of these guys are out on the road. They're just, they just work at little intervals, it seems, these days. And another band that I did mention in my 2023 video was Death Angel. They haven't had a studio album since 2019. Now the rumblings there initially were, oh yeah, we're going to get that out by 2024, but that does not look like it's going to happen. And the latest news that I read is they are even considering doing a double album. So they're hopefully have that much material that they could do a double album at one time. I personally, I'm not too keen on that. I'd rather these guys go back and do a maximum 38 to 42 minutes. I know those are odd numbers, but that's kind of just the perfect wheelhouse, especially for a thrash album. Anything past that, it makes me not want to put it on again. So you get in those 38 to 42 minutes, I feel like, hey, you know what? That just breezed by. I'm going to hit the play button again. But let me know in the comments, what have you picked out? What are some of your favorite albums of 2024 so far? What do you have on pre-order? Anything pertaining to what I just blabbered on about for the past 25 minutes. Hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, stay heavy.